Black movies are in a league of their own when it comes to the characters, the roles, and the conflicts they address. Today, I will be sharing with you my top 30 Black movies of all time. Hey everybody, welcome to Terrell's Takes. My name is Terrell McGuire, giving valuable advice for today's Black millennials through the lens of Black movies and the topics they discuss. I give weekly reviews on Black movies and actors and showing my appreciation for them because they are oftentimes unappreciated in these Hollywood streets. Help me celebrate the Black actors of today and their movies by hitting the subscribe button and ringing the bell next to it. To get started, here's number 30, Love Don't Cost a Thing. I really like Nick Cannon and Christina Milian in this movie. I really enjoy romantic movies because I'm somewhat of a hopeless romantic myself. This movie isn't just another boy meets girl kind of movie. It gets creative with it. Nick Cannon's character is a genius mechanic, while Christina Milian's character is a cheerleader who meets and falls in love with this mechanic because of his genuine nature and the lack of substance in the people that she's normally around. Number 29, The Wiz. I love, love, love this movie more than I love the original Wizard of Oz. Michael Jackson as the Scarecrow, Diana Ross as Dorothy, Nipsey Russell as the Tin Man, and Richard Pryor as the Wizard were some of my favorite characters that they've played. And I love the songs in this movie. They are catchy, and their takes on these iconic characters are so enlightening. Number 28, The Butler. I enjoyed this movie so much. Forest Whitaker was awesome in this movie. Some of my other favorite roles of Forest Whitaker include The Last King of Scotland, Vantage Point, Phone Booth, The Panic Room, and Black Panther. Forest Whitaker is such an amazing talent to have in Hollywood today. And I could go back and watch any of these movies at any time because he was great in all of them. 27, Big Mama's House. Martin Lawrence in this series is so funny and comical. And just like always, the original is always better than its predecessor. Big Mama's House was one of many Martin Lawrence movies that I watched over and over as a kid. Bad Boys, and watching him on his show, Martin. I grew up watching Martin Lawrence in Big Mama's House, Bad Boys, his show, Martin, as well as Def Comedy Jam, even though I was a kid watching inappropriate things. Nothing today has the same caliber of creativity, rawness, and vulgarity that Def Comedy Jam was. And if it was to come back one day, Martin Lawrence has to be the host of it. Number 26, Think Like a Man. I like this movie because it has similarities to the movie The Brothers when it comes to relationships and the basketball scenes. I enjoyed Michael Ealy's character the most because I identify with him, the dreamer, the most. Number 25, Major Payne. Major Payne is such an awesome movie. I've watched him in that, In Living Color, and his show, My Wife and Kids. The way that he portrays Major Payne is so funny. I used to watch this all the time when I was a kid. For someone who knows only about war and nothing else, Major Payne had such a huge heart for wanting to help these kids in the best way that he could. Damon Wayans played the role wonderfully. 24, Bebe's Kids. Oh my goodness. This movie, even though it's an animated movie, this movie was awesome. Watching an animated movie in kids' perspectives was so fun. And then Robin Harris on top of that made it even funnier. I wish that Robin Harris, Richard Pryor, and Red Fox was still with us today because of the awesome things they did for comedy in their lives. Number 23, Love and Basketball. Like I've said earlier about me enjoying romantic movies, I really like Love and Basketball because of the romance behind it. It wasn't just a romance story, boy meets girl, but it was bringing them together on the commonality of basketball, wanting to become professional basketball players and still have things work out for them. In the end, they did work out for them, and it's such an iconic movie of the 90s. More people should be watching this movie today. Number 22, John Q. In this movie, Denzel Washington is awesome in this movie. He plays a great role, a wonderful father trying to do everything that he can to save his son, and the storyline is done beautifully. It is a touching movie and great acting on everyone's part. This is a story that isn't told very often because if people were to take these kinds of actions into their own hands, we'd see every other week some parent or guardian doing everything they could, even holding people hostage in hospitals all around the country just so that someone could get a new heart, a new lung, or whatever for their family member or friend. Number 21, ATL. As a teenager, T.I. was one of my top 5 rappers and still is today. When he made the move into acting, I really enjoyed his performance and charisma on screen. He does a wonderful job in ATL as well as everyone else in their roles. There are a lot of lines from that movie that I still quote today. Number 20, the original Kings of Comedy. First off, I want to say rest in paradise to Bernie Mac. World of Comedy just has not been the same with him not here. Or heavy hitters of Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, Bernie Mac, and D.L. Hughley make a comedy show so powerful and so funny. I'd want more quality comedy shows like this one to begin to make its way back into Hollywood and the comedy world. 19, All About the Benjamins. It is such a hilarious movie. I don't know how many times I've watched it growing up. When it comes to comedy movies, Ice Cube and Mike Epps are two of my favorite actors. I will never forget those winning lottery ticket numbers: 15, 30, 37, 38, 45, 47. As well as Mike Epps' funniest line to me: "You ain't got a forehead, you got a 5 head." 18, Hustle and Flow. It really is hard out here for a pimp these days, especially for YouTubers, entrepreneurs, influencers, and just the normal everyday working people. It really is hard out here, and we have to do everything that we can to strive for a better tomorrow. Terrence Howard and Taraji P. Henson does an amazing job in this movie. Will always remain a top movie for me because of the story that they tell. Number 17, Notorious. I love this movie because they did such a wonderful job showing the life of the Notorious B.I.G. for people who followed him, to the hardcore fans, to people that didn't know him at all, and how he grew up and how he became so accomplished in his life. Myself, along with so many others, wish that both he and Tupac had not been killed back in the mid 90s. Otherwise, I believe so many things would be different, not just in music or entertainment, but life in general. Because they did such a powerful job with influencing not just the black communities, but the nation as a whole. I know people are going to get on me for this, but I believe that Biggie was actually the GOAT, the greatest rapper of all time, and Tupac was a very close number two. If you are enjoying my video so far, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe below, and let me know what are your top black movies of all time. I would really like to know. Number 16, Bad Boys 2. Now, I believe that Martin Lawrence and Will Smith were absolute clowns in this one. I I don't know whether I like Bad Boys 1 or Bad Boys 2. I will never forget the scene with the boy trying to take out Martin Lawrence's daughter, and they absolutely grill him. Number 15, Menace to Society. I thought this was a very good movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it, even though Lorenz Tate's character was a cold-blooded thug inside and out. It displays such a powerful message about growing up and living in the hood and what it takes to just simply survive. Lorenz Tate has grown up so much in his acting as I see him now in the latest seasons of Power and in Girls Trip. He has come such a long way, and I enjoy his movies thoroughly. Number 14, Remember the Titans. Another Denzel Washington movie that's just so powerful, a message so raw and gritty and wonderful and heartwarming. Who cannot like this movie? Number 13, Coach Carter. Like Remember the Titans, but on the basketball court side of things, this movie presents such a strong message of the tensions that we go through in everyday life, on and off the court, on and off the field, and whatever we do. Samuel L. Jackson as Coach Carter does such a wonderful job coaching and mentoring his players to be the best that they can be, whether win, lose, or draw. Number 12, The Wood. I've watched this movie so many times and I enjoy it every single time. It has a great story. It shows romance. It has comedy. I'd like flashback stories. Taye Diggs, Omar Epps, and Richard T. Jones tell such an iconic story, even though most of it is in a flashback. I really enjoyed that. They surely don't make movies like this anymore. Number 11, Lean on Me. Just like Denzel Washington in Remember the Titans and Samuel L. Jackson in Coach Carter, Morgan Freeman does such a fantastic job with mentoring the students that he worked with in Lean on Me. No matter what situations, what conflict, what adversity that he was going through, Morgan Freeman wanted to do everything that he could to educate the students in his school, because when he was going to school there, it was such a good school that it turned to the wrong side, and he wanted to clean that up. Lean on Me is a powerful story that demonstrates what it takes for a teacher to try to get them to be better for themselves. Are you ready for my top 10 black movies of all time? Be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to let me know that you enjoy these kinds of videos, so that I know that you want these kinds of videos in the future. With that said, here are my top 10 favorite black movies of all time, starting with Straight Outta Compton. Straight Outta Compton is such a wonderful biopic that shows NWA was the truth back in the day. I love this movie inside and out, and the actors who played the roles of NWA did such an amazing job. Still to this day, Ice Cube's No Vaseline is the top diss track of all time, with Nas's Ether diss on Jay-Z being a close second. I give major props to Ice Cube and all that he's done in his life, from being a rapper, producer, and actor, because he is definitely one of my top 5 actors of all time. Number 9, Black Panther. This movie is utterly amazing. Everyone in the entire world, I believe, should see this movie. Chadwick Boseman and Michael B. Jordan played the perfect hero-villain relationship. The action, comedy, and suspense was so powerful in this movie. Number 8, Training Day. I have almost no words to describe how amazing and powerful Denzel Washington's performance was, and it was different to see him in this kind of role, being the crooked cop and all, and his iconic scene at the end was stunning. I have never liked a villain in a movie more than I enjoyed him. Number 7, New Jack City. Wesley Snipes, Ice-T, Alan Payne, and Chris Rock played their hearts out in this movie. Time back then was so crazy, and they portrayed this time so brilliantly. Gritty, powerful, and raw, just to see what it was like back at that time, since I didn't know what it was like back then. Number 6, Next Friday. Like I said when I was talking about all about the Benjamins, and how I truly enjoy the on-screen relationships of Ice Cube and Mike Epps, and how absolutely hilarious they are. I really enjoyed this movie because I watched this movie so much. I believe it is my 3rd most watched movie because it was always on TV. I will talk more about my most watched movies of all time in a later video, but my number 1 and number 2 most watched movies are Prince of Egypt and Toy Story. I was so sad when I heard that Smokey was replaced by Day Day, but he did such a great job with being the comic relief and just being silly in who Mike Epps is and his roles. The goofy personality of Mike Epps and the cool demeanor of Ice Cube is what makes this movie so great. And even though Friday After Next wasn't so great, I still enjoyed their relationship on screen, and I really hope that Friday number 4 comes into existence. Number 5, Boys in the Hood. Another movie demonstrating what it's like living in the hood, portrays these characters in so many different perspectives that you can go back and watch these movies and learn something new about the characters and what was going on back then. We all know of the iconic scene of Morris Chestnut's character Ricky and Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character yelling his name before he's shot in his back. I truly give them props for their performances in this movie and bringing those characters to life the way they did. Number 4, Bad Boys. Like I said earlier when I was talking about Bad Boys 2, I still can't tell whether or not I like Bad Boys 1 or Bad Boys 2 more, and where they should be placed on this list. Martin Lawrence and Will Smith played the roles of Marcus Burnett and Mike Lowry so perfectly well. They have become one of my favorite black duos alongside Ice Cube and Mike Epps. The storyline in this series is great. Their performances and acting are on point, and I simply cannot wait for Bad Boys 3 to come out. Are you ready for my top 3 black movies of all time? If you've made it this far in the video, let me know in the comment section below what are your top 3 movies of all time. And don't forget, like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay up to date with all things Terrell's Takes. Number 3, Life. Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence are fantastic in this movie. I love the roles that they play, Claude Banks and Ray Gibson. They are two of my favorite comedians. I could make a video on my top comedians. Let me know in the comment section if you'd be interested in a video about my top black comedians. I really would have liked to see them and more movies together. Again, rest in peace to Bernie Mac. I loved his role as Jangle Leg, and he was absolutely hilarious. Life is a great story of being at the wrong place at the wrong time. And they tell this story about life in prison in a lighthearted and funny way. Number 2, Set It Off. I love heist movies, and this one takes the cake. This has to be in my top 10 most watched movies of all time because it wasn't just a story of a typical group of people coming together to rob something and make money. This was 4 black women in the hood trying to better themselves, even though they did it in the wrong way, and it ended up being a sad story. Queen Latifah, Vivica Fox, Kimberly Elise, and Jada Pinkett Smith are some of my top favorite actresses of all time because of their performances in this movie. No one was doing movies with all black casts like this back in the mid-90s, and I believe it is because of this movie that movies like the new Ghostbusters movie and Ocean's 8 came about. Now, for my top favorite black movie of all time. You know what it is? Let me know if you could take a guess. Number 1, Friday. After Toy Story, Prince of Egypt, Next Friday, and Set It Off, I believe that the original Friday movie is my top most watched movie of all time. It is such a classic movie. It is an all-around great movie for the time. It had a great plot, great characters, wonderful roles. Ice Cube, Chris Tucker, a balanced portrayal of great writing and storytelling. If there are any of these 30 movies that you've never seen, I suggest that you find and watch these movies as soon as possible. They are all great movies, wonderful actors and actresses, and they shaped who I am and why I love black movies today. Thank you for watching my video, and if you enjoyed my content, be sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date with all things Terrell's Takes. I have more movies to watch and review, so I'll see you in a few. Until next time, that's a wrap.